Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let's just dive right into this because today we're unpacking a phenomenon that is absolutely taking over the YouTube ecosystem right now. We're talking about the AI Stickman niche. It sounds crazy, right? But in this explainer, we're going to look at how these seemingly simple animated stick figures are pulling in massive audiences. More importantly, we're breaking down the entirely automated AI-driven workflow behind them. If you've ever wondered how creators are just pumping out this cinematic, high-retention content without ever touching a camera, or, let's be real, even knowing how to draw a circle, you're in exactly the right place. To really get why this matters, we have to talk about the sheer scale here. 253 million. That is how many views a single video pulled in for a channel that rode this exact AI Stickman wave to almost 13 million subscribers. And it's not a one-off. Tons of their other videos are hitting the millions too. So this isn't just some passing trend. We are looking at a massive, massive wave of viewership laser-focused on a very specific style of automated content. So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, the viral Stickman niche. Then, the revenue potential. Third, prompting with ChatGPT. Fourth, the step-by-step workflow. And finally, scaling your content empire. Let's jump straight into section 1, the viral Stickman niche. So, what exactly makes a basic stick figure so captivating to an audience that usually scrolls past everything in 2 seconds? Well, the secret sauce here is viewer retention. The way these narratives and the visual momentum are built, people almost never skip. They're basically glued to the screen, watching until the very end just to see what happens next. And as we all know, in the world of algorithmic content, high retention is literally the ultimate currency. Crucially, that retention translates directly into a highly lucrative, fully monetizable business model for these creators. Which brings us to section 2, the revenue potential. When we actually look at the revenue side of things, there is a fascinating split between the tracking tools. vidIQ estimates this huge channel makes around $4,300 a month. But then, Social Blade projects something entirely different. They're estimating between $13,000 and $21,000 a month. Obviously, these are just estimates, right? But even with that variance, they clearly paint the picture of the massive financial footprint this high-retention content is generating. And if we look at the absolute ceiling of those Social Blade estimates, the yearly projections could reach up to $2.9 million annually. Whether the real numbers are on the conservative side or hitting those multi-million-dollar heights, one thing is for sure. This niche has absolutely massive commercial potential right now. But throwing all those crazy numbers aside for a second, that brings us to the most important question of this entire explainer. How are these videos actually made? Because the wild part is, most people still have absolutely no clue what goes into producing them. It looks super complex on the surface, but the reality is actually a very deliberate, highly automated workflow. So let's step away from the hype for a bit and look at the actual mechanics. Moving on to section 3, prompting with ChatGPT. This is the foundational step, and it relies on a very specific, specialized prompt in ChatGPT. You're not just saying, hey, write me a script. When you drop this master prompt in and hit generate, the AI instantly gives you 3 distinct layers of automated outputs. First, boom, 10 different video ideas you can use right off the bat. Once you pick one, it automatically spits out highly detailed custom image prompts plus the specific video prompts for a complete 4-scene story. You're basically outsourcing all the creative friction before you even open a video editor. All right, section 4, the step-by-step workflow. So here's the high-level roadmap of the tech stack we're looking at. It's really just a simple 3-step pipeline. Step 1, which we just talked about, is using ChatGPT to generate all your master prompts. Step 2 relies on a tool called Google Flow to actually generate the realistic images and then animate them. And finally, step 3 is pulling those generated clips into an editor like CapCut to stitch it all together. Let's zoom in on exactly how step 2 works. To kick off the visual generation, you take that very first image prompt ChatGPT gave you for scene 1, and you drop it straight into Google Flow. The setup here requires some exact settings for a new project. You want image 9:6, 1 by, and a really specific setting called Nano Banana 2. Just paste your text prompt, hit generate, and literally within seconds, it hands you a starting image that looks insanely realistic. But of course, it's just a static image at this point. The real magic happens when we get the Stickman moving. To turn that static frame into a full-blown cinematic video, you just stay right there in Google Flow. Open that first image and click the Animate button. That tells the system, hey, use this specific image as the starting frame of our video. Then, you dial in your video settings, video frames 9:16, one by, OmniFlush, and an 8-second duration. After that, you just tab back over to your ChatGPT doc, copy the specific video prompt for scene 1, paste it in, and hit generate. When it finishes rendering, it's mind-blowing. You get a high-fidelity, 8-second cinematic animation built entirely out of text. Now, listen up, because this right here is the hidden secret of the entire process. If you've ever messed around with AI video, you know that keeping characters and environments consistent from one clip to the next is a total nightmare. Well, the workaround is a critical little function called save frame. When your first video finishes rendering, you just scrub all the way to the very last frame of that clip and you click Save Frame. Instead of generating some random new image for scene 2, you're using this perfectly matched saved frame as the exact starting point for the next animation. It is the perfect hack that keeps every single scene connected and logically consistent. And once you've got that save frame trick down, the rest of the workflow is just a repeatable loop. You hover over that new saved frame, click Animate, pop back over to ChatGPT for the Scene 2 video prompt, and paste it into Flow. Hit Generate, and when it's done, you go to the end of that video and click Save Frame all over again. You literally just rinse and repeat this exact cycle for Scene 3, Scene 4, or however many scenes you had ChatGPT write up for you. When you finally pull those consecutive clips into standard editing software like CapCut and line them all up, the results are honestly shocking. As the source breakdown put it perfectly, smooth camera movement, cinematic animations, amazing action. And the craziest part? Everything you're seeing was generated by AI in just a few minutes. The final output is this incredibly seamless, high-retention video where literally all of the complex animation was handled entirely by algorithms. Which leads us to our final section, scaling your content empire. Because this entire workflow is totally systematized, you basically have an unlimited content engine at your fingertips. You're never going to run out of ideas because you can constantly just swap out the core variables. Ask ChatGPT for totally different narrative prompts, change up the visual descriptions of the Stickman characters, explore different genres, or tweak the Google Flow prompts to get completely new animation styles. You can run this exact playbook over and over, building out a massive content ecosystem with very little manual labor. We've seen the massive viewer retention these Stickman videos command. We've looked at those eye-opening revenue estimates, and we've walked through the incredibly efficient, fully automated workflow that brings it all to life. The barrier to entry for making cinematic, high-quality animation has basically dropped to zero. All it takes is a sequence of clever text prompts. So, as these AI tools continue to evolve and merge together, the real question isn't whether automated content is going to take over. The real question is, what AI niche will you explore next?